welcome to Ladies That UX. So in this talk, we're going to have Lital join us, and she's going to take you through the most important components of becoming a successful influencer in your organization. So she's even going to give you some of the first things that you can start right now, regardless of your role title or seniority level. So very exciting stuff. We also have a huge prize to be won from our sponsor, Adobe XD. So make sure you've got access to Slido, and also a giveaway for everyone from Dovetail. Everybody, you're a winner, you're a winner, you're a winner, everyone's a winner. So this is going to be a really good meetup. So also massive shout out to everybody in Melbourne. I just think we need to give ourselves a bit of a round of applause because we totally killed it, and we are now open for business, ready for Christmas. So I'm very proud of us. So speaking of Melbourne, here we go. Helps if the slides actually work. So
Ramon, do you want to just quickly mention that we're recording?
Oh, yes, sorry, of course. So just some housekeeping. I'm going to get into some more housekeeping in a little minute, but we are recording this session. So if you'd like to not be recorded, we do only record the slides and the speaker view, but just in case you do get caught, please just turn your camera off if you don't want to be recorded during this session, because we will share this on our socials and within our networks. So acknowledgement of country. So on behalf of Ladies That UX Melbourne, I acknowledge that although we are scattered throughout Melbourne and beyond, I know we've got a few people in Brisbane right now, we are all on traditional land. Many of us will be on the lands of the Woi Wurrung and Boon Wurrung language groups of the Greater South Central and Eastern Kulin nations. I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and importantly, the emerging leaders, as well as the other First Nations people present today. The heart of Ladies That UX community is driven by the desire to connect and build something together, be it shared knowledge, shared inspiration, or shared networks. Whether it's in person or from afar, the First Peoples of this country have the same desire to connect. So it's seen and felt through their spiritual relationship with Mother Earth, the way that they pass on their knowledge through storytelling, and their efforts to communicate from afar using smoke signals. So as we connect tonight, let us remember that there is so much that we can learn from the community around us, especially those that have been here before us. So if you're new to Ladies That UX and you're not sure who we are a global meetup group that started in Manchester, UK in 2013. So we, the Melbourne chapter, started in 2014. Currently, our co-organisers are myself, Mon, Eva, Berlin, and our latest member, Ansha, who I'm going to introduce to you in just a minute. So our purpose is to provide a platform for women identifying and non-binary folk to speak, facilitate, and share their knowledge. We are committed to creating a safe and inclusive space for all folks in the UX community. So we don't tolerate discrimination of any kind, and we ask that by attending our events, you'll observe our codes of conduct. Speaking of which, these are our codes of conduct. So please keep yourself on mute. Sessions will be recorded, as I mentioned earlier. So please just turn off your video if you're not comfortable, and we will make sure that you're not recorded at all. And if you would like some more information on our codes of conduct, you can go to this website, ladiesthatux.com/code-of-conduct. That's tricky to say out loud. And tonight we are going to be taking questions on Slido. So make sure that you are logged onto Slido and you're using the code 56383. So make sure you write that down, 56383. It is very important tonight because we have some cool stuff happening. So I just want to take a moment to say a big shout out to our sponsor, Vic Uni, they are our meetup sponsor, and as well Adobe XD, who have a crazy awesome prize for our most influential participant tonight. So make sure that you got that Slido code 56383. And this month we also have Dovetail as our new sponsor. And they have a giveaway for all of us. So I hope you've got a pen and paper, or if you're on your computer, write this down, go straight to this address, https // you know what, you can just write that down, pop it in your browser. So if you're not sure what Dovetail is, it's a cloud-based user research and customer feedback platform that helps teams with analysis, organization, collaboration, and storage of research data and insights. With Dovetail, researchers and the analysts, I always have such troubles saying that word, analysts, designers, and product managers store their research data in one place. They can analyze qualitative data to discover patterns and insights and share findings with the rest of your organization. So they believe that every single organization conducts user research of some form in order to explore what new products they would build or to understand what they could improve about their existing ones. So their vision at Dovetail is to become the go-to user research platform for all organizations. Dovetail has been growing quickly since they first launched. So they've now got hundreds of happy customers worldwide, apparently. So Boston Consulting Group, Cisco, the CSIRO, Deliveroo, Kayak, MasterCard, Sketch, Shopify, Square, ThoughtWorks, and VMware. So, and that's why they're going to give you, everybody on that code, get 60 days extended free trial. So and I have to say, I use it at work as well. And I really do enjoy it. It's a great way to synthesize data, especially if you've got multiple people doing the research. And I really love that you can color code it. So you can get all the same grabs and you can color code it. It looks really beautiful and like quite easy to start to see all of your research insights coming to life. So speaking of research, actually, Anshal is, we've got to introduce Anshal. Anshal is our latest committee member who is a researcher with Xero. She is a product design researcher at Xero. You may remember her from our September meetup, Design Your Virtual Job Hunt. Now, Anshal is not only a smart researcher, she's a smart cookie because she snuck out of Melbourne before the second lockdown and is currently chilling out in sunny Brisbane. So hello, Anshal.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be a part of this committee and nice to meet all of you. Yeah, it's just such an amazing place to be a committee member of, and I'm excited to be a part of it and run all the other future events in 2021. I can't believe we're at the end of 2020. But on that note, I am just going to talk to you a little bit about the awesome competition we have today. So it's sponsored by Adobe. And basically you would get a 1-year Adobe Creative Cloud subscription for the winner. And what do you need to do to win? So you have to be our most influential participant to win. So what that means is get onto Slido, like we mentioned earlier. So just slido.com or slide.do. Use the code and ask us questions based on Litel's presentation and like other people's questions and help each other win, essentially. So we'll be using some of Slido's cool analytical technology to find who's our most influential participant. But the more questions, the more engagement, the more you like, the more influential you are. That's not what Litel's going to talk about necessarily, but I am going to, on that note, move to introduce Lital. So we have Lital Sherman talking to us about the power of influence. She's head of experience design at PageUp, and she's going to be talking to us about how to become a successful influencer in your organization today and just some really cool tips and tricks. So up to you, Lital.
Thank you. Thanks, Anshel and ladies, the LTUX. Just give me a second so I can share my screen and we can start. All right, I'll assume that you can see me. Cool. Great. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining my talk today. I have to say that every time that I start talking, like the first few minutes, so I'm a bit nervous, but it will go over time. So just, stay with me on that. And I do have a drink here because alcohol always helped me to calm down a little bit. So I'm the head of experience design at PageUp. It's a talent management software company from Melbourne. And I'm very excited to share my new talk with you, The Power of Influence. Now, this talk will be directed to designers. However, if you are not from the design community, you can still find a lot of value in this talk. It's not just for designers, but because we are with the ladies that UX, we'll talk a little bit more about design. Now, let's be honest. As designers, a huge part of our job is to repeatedly demonstrate the value that we bring to organizations. We want to get more budget, we want to do more research, we want to grow the team, we want to hire more people, we want to drive positive change, we want to get recognition, and at the end of the day, we want to get a promotion, right? Whether it's internally or whether we want to move to a different company. However, many designers are struggling to sell the value of design and really make a significant impact in the workplace. And the question is, why? Well, this is only my opinion, but what I think is that the number one reason is that no one is actually teaching us how to do that. So all of us went to, design schools or maybe UX bootcamp. I taught with the lovely Berlin at Academy XI, and we have endless design courses, and we really learn how to be awesome in the craft. So we know how to do research, we know how to analyze and make sense of the data. We know how to come up with amazing user-friendly solutions for the users, and we know how to advocate for the users. But how do we actually sell those ideas to people that have different opinions than us? And how do we convince them that maybe we shouldn't invest in a specific product in the first place? And how do we present ourselves as experts and as leaders in our field? That's a pretty good question, right? I love this photo. It's really because every single one of us is frustrated about that. And I hear these questions for so many people all the time. Just this week, I had 3 conversations about influencing in the workplace with 3 different people from PageUp. And that's something that we're all struggling with, whether we're designers, researchers, product managers, tech leads, developers, whoever we are. At any seniority level, we all face that, and we're all frustrated by that. And by the way, if you do think that it's getting easier once you move up the seniority chain, it's actually not, because now as a manager, if you are a manager, you need to advocate for your team and not just for yourself. So actually your responsibility as an influencer is growing. However, this is a really kind of gloomy reality check. I do have some good news for you. Everyone can learn how to become a good influencer. And it's really not just a matter of whether you have it or not. Influencing is a skill that can be learned and can be practiced, really like every other skill. But it does require work and persistence. And apologize for my English. When I'm a bit nervous, I get some, English grammar mistakes. So again, be patient with me. All right, so let's start by kind of defining what influence is. So influence is the ability to have positive impact on others. And we're just going to talk about the positive impact. Obviously, as influencers, we can have a negative impact, but we're not going to talk about that today. And we want to persuade or convince people to gain their support. So to be effective in organizations today, we need to be able to influence others. The fancy title that you might have, if you have one, is just not going to cut it. And in my experience, I've learned that as leaders, influencing down sometimes can be even more difficult than influencing up. So it's really about influencing up, down, and across. So, the question is, what is actually the secret of becoming a good influencer? Well, it's all about people and understanding people. And I would say as designers, this is a big part of our job anyway. So we really need to get, the benefit of what we already know and how can we learn about people and understand them better. So we want to understand how people are wired and why they behave the way they do. And it's always interesting to me when people are talking about influencing and they're looking at logic to persuade, and they say if you present them something that is super logical, they will listen to you. When in fact we are emotional beings, and as human beings we behave the way we behave because of our emotions. And the best way to influence us is to positively impact our emotions. Now, I'm not saying that stop using data. Data is definitely a really important factor in your influencing skills. It's no doubt about it, it's going to help you. However, how do you actually get people to listen to you in the first place? And what I found in my experience is that there are three main components of becoming effective influencers in organizations today. And those are those three key components. So the first one is building rapport and personal connections with people. The second is demonstrating your expertise. And the third is practicing courage, failure, and perseverance. And we are obviously going to talk about each one of them. Now, I'm sure at least a couple of people here are looking at this list and thinking to themselves, well, nah, no, thank you. I'm not good at schmoozing. I'm really bad at public speaking. And I'm just not going to do it. I just don't have it. I wasn't born like that. So I do want to share something with you first. So some of you that know me, and it might be a surprise, I was actually a really, really shy girl growing up. I was super quiet. I really liked my alone time. And I still really do like my alone time. However, I did learn that at a pretty early stage that it will be very difficult for me to get what I want this way. So I started to practice how to get out of my shell. Now, I did grow up in Israel. And in Israel, you have to go to a military service when you're 18, which pretty much forces you to be uncomfortable in many situations. And you have to build confidence and courage. It wasn't easy at all. It's still not easy, not to me and not to probably anyone, but it's definitely possible. And this is really what we're going to talk about today. So my point is that we all have the potential to become great influencers. It's just a matter of making a decision and practicing it whenever you have the opportunity. All right, so let's start by discussing each one of those components. So the first one, building rapport and personal connections. So before people decide what they think of your message, of your story, what you're trying, to get out of that, of talking to them, they decide what they think of you. People will be a lot more open to hear you out and actually listen to what you have to say if they have a connection with you. So some of you might know that this is a principle in the sales community. It's a very well-known principle that people are starting, first of all, for you to gain their trust. It's first, you have this process of people know you, and then they get to like you, and then they get to trust you, and then you get to sell to them. However, for our talk today, I'm going to change that a little bit, and instead of sell, I'm going to change to invest, because we're not trying to sell ourselves. However, we are trying to sell our ideas, but we want people to invest in us. So the best influencers that I know go through a simple but powerful process of getting to know the people they want to influence, increasing their likability factor and building trust with those people, with the ultimate goal of getting those people to invest in them or to buy what they have to sell. Now, getting to know people from different parts of the business may feel a bit daunting at first. It requires putting yourself out there. It requires investing a lot of time and energy, stepping out of your shell, speaking to people that you don't know, but it's really worth it. There's a bit of a background sound. Now, you don't have to become everyone's best friend, and you don't need everyone to be blown away by your amazingness. As a starting point, you just need to have good rapport with your colleagues, your teammates, your managers, the team that you are managing yourself, and then you build on it. Now, one of the reasons that people do things for you, support your idea, approve your budget, recommend you for a promotion, whatever it is, it's mainly because they like you. So work on establishing those personal connection with your peers and allow them to get to know the real authentic you. All right, so with building rapport and personal connection, this is a component, but there are some things that you can do here. And the first thing that I want to talk about is cultivate empathy. If you went to a design school, if you are practicing design and research, you know that empathy is key, is really key with understanding people. It's a very, very effective way to build relationship with people. And the key thing here is to actually listen to people and be empathetic. Now, empathy, as a lot of you know, and I hope you do know, empathy is not the same as sympathy. Empathy is about listening to people, is about getting to know who they are, what they're trying to achieve, what is driving them, what is not working for them. I have to say that some people are talking about empathy and they say, you know, we want to step into other people's shoes. I have an issue with this saying because I don't believe that any of us can step into anyone else's shoes. But what we can do is actually understand how they feel at this moment and find a time in the past that we felt the same because of maybe a completely different experience. And this is how we get to empathize with them. Empathy is really a core to establishing a relationship, and it has many, many benefits, but I want to talk about two of them. So first of all, we get to understand what drives people. We learn about their motivations, their working patterns, their goals, pain points, and the things that they care about. And it will help you to understand good ways to get them on your side. Now, the second thing is, it's a very effective way to get colleagues to support you in your agenda if you actually listen to them, because sometimes people just want to be heard. So I want to tell you a little story. A few months ago, I booked a meeting with a pretty senior person in the business. Now, because I have some people from PageUp here, I'm not going to reveal this person's name, so let's call him John. John is a VP of one of PageUp's biggest function. And I needed to gain his support in getting his team members involved as a cross-functional team reps, because we have cross-functional teams now. It's a new structure at PageUp. Now, for me to get that, I really needed to sell the value that those people from his team will gain from being cross-functional team members. Because at the end of the day, they actually need to spend a bit more time as like an extra work beyond their day job, as we call it, and actually put the time and the effort in being those CFT reps. So the session was booked a couple of hours after our CIO announced a few changes to our product focus area that would heavily impact John and his team. And John was not happy about it. He was actually pretty vocal about that. So I was slightly concerned because I knew he was not happy. But because it was really hard for me to schedule the meeting anyway, and his calendar is fully booked, I decided to leave it and just see how it goes and not to reschedule the meeting. So we had a 30-minute meeting booked, and John was a bit late, and he arrived a little bit grumpy. In the first 25 minutes of our catch-up, John shared his frustration with me about what happened earlier that day. And I just listened to him. I didn't say a word. When he was done with what he wanted to say, the only thing I said to him was, I understand, John. It must be very challenging. Let me know if there is anything I can help with. That's it. His response was, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you for understanding. I'm so sorry for taking all this time from this meeting. So I didn't share my opinion with him. And my opinion with him, by the way, was not aligned to his opinion at all. I didn't argue with him because I didn't see the point of doing that. That was not the purpose of my catch up with him. And the only thing I've done was to actually listen to him and share my empathy right? So I didn't share my opinion. I just shared my empathy and said, I understand that it's challenging, because I genuinely understand that it was challenging. In the last 3 minutes, of the meeting, I told him quickly what I needed from him. And he immediately said, sure, no problem. Join our Friday meeting, tell the team what you need from them, and I'll support you. That's it. That was done, right? Without me actually spending the first 25 minutes of the meeting listening to him and giving him this space to talk about what he wanted to talk, I would probably won't gain his support that way. But that was actually an awesome example of me giving him what he needed at this time, and then he gave me back what I needed immediately after that. So what can you do? Start by inviting people to one-on-one conversations and give them your undivided attention. Ask them open-ended questions, ask them what they need, and listen to what they have to say. Don't be judgmental, and in fact, try not to give your opinion at all unless they ask you to. The goal is to build a relationship with them and to learn about them as much as you can. So look at it as exploratory research and the discovery phase of your design. And also, like we said before, people just want to be heard sometime. And if you can offer them that, you'll be in a position to gain their trust. And people will share the frustration with you if they can trust you. And this can be effective with basically everyone that you want to build trust with, and then you want to influence. It can be your immediate team members, it can be your colleagues from different departments, it can be your manager, it can be definitely your employees as well. And I'm not going to talk a lot about people leadership here, but remember that this is also 100% apply to your team members if you are a manager. All right, the second thing that you can do is add value. And a really good way to get people to like you is to find ways to add value to the work or their life. And if you're using this model, you immediately remove the I'm trying to sell you something barrier, and instead you focus on where you can add value while you're building the relationship with them. Now, there is a rule in social psychology that's called the Reciprocity rule, which basically means that there is kind of this sense of obligation in our culture, and it's pretty much in every culture, that when we give someone something, they will give us something in return. And most of the time, it will be actually even bigger than the original thing that we gave them. If you are doing a favor to someone, there is a really big chance that this person will do a favor in return. And like I said, most of the time, it will be a much bigger one, because we have this sense of obligation to give people things. So think about that. You probably had that a lot of the time. Someone gave you a birthday present, and then you have the obligation to give them a birthday present in return. Someone bought you a coffee, and you have the obligation to give them coffee in return, right? So this sense, everyone has that. Like, that's just built in our culture. So take advantage of that. Now, that can be as simple as actually giving someone coffee in your one-on-one catch-up. I know that we are still social distancing. So there are different things that you can do to people. And for example, you can offer them some help in a task that they have to do, maybe a challenge, maybe they need to do a presentation, and if you're a designer and you can make it slightly prettier and help them with that, just do that for them. They will really appreciate that. So instead of asking yourself, who can help me achieve my goals, ask yourself, who can I help first? Who can I offer something and then gain their trust so they can help me in return after? So it's not just about what we're giving people, it's also about how we're giving it to them. And the thing we're doing for others and our most unexpected will be the most effective. So if you can offer someone something that they didn't expect, and it will be a surprise to them, even if it's a small thing, you will gain their trust. And believe me, I've done it many, many, many times. Now, I just want to call out here, getting people to like you is super important, right? But it doesn't mean that you want to become a yes person. Not at all. It's actually the opposite. And you might find it surprising, but senior people, executives and heads of and so on, or maybe I should say more like good senior leaders want people to challenge them. And they actually respect when people give them different opinions and perspectives. They will see you as an honest and courageous human being. As long as your feedback makes sense and you're not arguing just for the sake of arguing, they will respect that a lot. And I'll just give you an example. I think in every business, at least in every business that I've been to, there is this senior leader that is the people that everyone is kind of intimidated from, right? So everyone is a bit scared of because he's not the most friendly person and he's maybe not the most social person. And everyone is just scared to reach out to this person. Now, in my last 2 jobs, PageUp and the job that I had before, I actually always build trust with those people because I was always very honest and very open with them. And maybe because of my Israeli nature, I'm not really afraid of conflict. But it wasn't about the fact that I wanted to argue with them or get into conflict with them. It was just because I genuinely cared. And I thought that it was my obligation to tell them, look, I respect your opinion, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. So maybe we can consider something else. And they respected that so much. And also they respected the fact that I wasn't afraid of them, that I was honest and open, and I didn't see them as, you know, this big, scary person that I can't reach out to. So people don't want others to be afraid of them. So just keep that in mind as well. People want others. They want the people that are the more junior people to speak to them at the same level. And if they don't want that, if you don't have them as leaders, I must be honest, they're not great people. So after establishing your relationship with people, or after starting to establish their relationship with those people that you want to influence, and hopefully got them to know, like, and trust you, it is time to try and sell the value that you bring, or if we translate it to invest, it's time to start getting them to invest in you. Which will take me to the third thing that you want to do here under the build, report, and personal connection, which is shape your story. I'm sure a lot of you heard about storytelling and the importance of that. It is such an important component, right? But the thing is that you can tell your story to someone that is actually there to listen to you. So once you build the trust with them, and once they know who you are, they like you and they trust you, they will actually hear you out and listen to your story. And that's a very, very valuable thing, to shape your story around them. So what you want to do is authentically, right? It's all about that. You don't want to manipulate anything. You don't want to remove some of the things that you are going to do. So you want to be very authentic in how you frame the story, but you want to shape it around the benefits that those people are going to get from what you're actually trying to sell to them. So what you want to do is to consider each stakeholder's needs, perspective, and approach. And in this scenario, stakeholders, we refer to everyone that has a say or can influence the decision. Now, how do you get to know that? So as part of your empathy building exercise that you've done in the first place, you will find out what they need to hear and what will capture their attention. And if you can't have personal time with them for whatever reason, but you still want to pitch your idea to them, do your research. So you can go and ask their team members, you can ask their friends in the company, you can look at their social media interest pages, you can look at articles there or reports that they created and shared. Find out who they are. And it might sound a bit stocky, but it's not, right? So social media pages are there for people to actually look at them. So it is important to do the research before, whether you do it with the people themselves or whether you do it in different ways. You need to understand how to shape your story and how to sell it to the different stakeholders. So for each person, make sure that you're answering the question, what's in it for them, right? So a really good tip is use the word we, as in we will make the change, we will see the value, we will improve the product. Don't talk about I will do that, talk about we. It's such a powerful word to use. Also, when you talk about your team members, for example, talk about we. There is such a great sense of team when you use this word instead of using the word I. It's a great way to influence others. So try to adopt it. If your proposal is fundamentally self-interest, people will just not line up. So make sure that you're shaping your story around that. And for example, if you need to get a support of a tech lead, so you can talk about, reduction of weights for their team. If it's a colleague for marketing, maybe talk about the brand recognition, the NPS score, whatever it is that will get them to see the value. If you're talking about from someone from HR, show them maybe how you can improve employees' engagement or anything that makes sense to them. It can be still around the same story, the same value, the same idea that you want to promote, but just find this component that those people will see the value in. Now, just on a side note, a very important tip, if you can add a small, by the way, compliment to those people, or to this person when you share the story, do it. Compliments are awesome. Just make sure genuine and authentic. I know because when people give me compliments, it's that, they definitely buy me, right? If it was like, oh my God, you are so amazing here. I'm like, oh my, yes, I'll give you now everything that you want. So really use that. But again, make it small and authentic. It's really, really important, right? And don't do it too often because people will not trust you anymore. All right. So building connection with people that can help you achieve your needs is really key. However, sometimes we just don't have direct access to those people. Maybe they're in a different country, maybe they don't have time, maybe you are working in just a massive organization and you want to impact someone that just have no idea who you are, and they don't see the value in spending their 30 minutes catch up with you. I mean, that's fine. We all have that sometime. So if you can't influence them directly, make sure that you identify those people that can influence them. All right. So who are those people that whose opinions really matters to those people with power? Build a relationship with those people instead. So that can be, a teammate that work in a business for a long time. That can be the 2IC for this person. That can be their personal assistant. That can be whoever that have this relationship with those people that you need to impact, but you just don't have access to. And also, by the way, sometimes if you have other people speaking highly of you and advocating for your work and your value and praising your achievement, that can be even more impactful than you speaking for yourself. So take advantage of that as well. All right, and now it's time to be practical. So this is Dory Clark. She's amazing. She's an amazing marketing strategist from the US. And she talks a lot about influence. And a lot of the research that I've done in the last kind of 10 years was around a lot of the things that she's talking about. And by the way, I sent her a connection on LinkedIn, and I got a message back, which I did not expect at all, from her assistant telling me that she got to the limit of her friend's connection and she just can't add me as a connection, but that it will be absolutely amazing if I can follow her and all of that. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? So that was actually her influencing me through her assistant to be now her supporter. And now I read basically every article that she writes and publish on LinkedIn. So this is a power map that's been advertised by Dory Clark. So I definitely have to give her the credit for that. But that's a really, really great tool that you can use if you want to, to work on something, if you want to sell your idea to someone, to the business, and you're just not sure how to start, and maybe you just have too many people that you need to influence, and it's like, oh my God, where am I starting? So you can create this map. Now, in this example, okay, let's say it's me. So as the head of design, let's say that's the person that I want to influence is the head of product. Okay, so for this story, we'll call him Ron. And whether I want to influence Ron directly or through the people that he really appreciates, their opinion, this is a really good tool to just map it out. And you can do it with Ron as the head of product, and you can see here all the people that are very close to him and are really good influencers for him. And then you can start thinking about, okay, what can I do to actually influence those people if I don't have the direct relationship with Ron, or even if I do have this direct relationship with Ron, but I know that getting Barb to help me will actually be much more valuable, because it's gonna be difficult if you're just going to advocate for yourself. You want other people to advocate for you as well. So you can start by doing that. Build a relationship with as many people as you can. You don't need to build very, very deep relationships. You don't have to do one-on-one conversation each week with all of them. At PageUp, for example, we have a leadership team of 6 people. I have regular catch-ups with 4 of those people because I identify that those people are going to help me the most. So I pretty much force them to have a one-on-one conversation with me. And I do it in kind of different times. It really depends on how much I need their support. So, and how much availability they have. So with some of them, it will be every 2 weeks. And with some of them, it will be every quarter or every month. And I said before that I forced them. I haven't forced them because obviously they can tell me I'm not interested, thank you very much. But I show them the value in actually having those conversations with me and spending time with me so I can help them achieve what they need from my department, which is product, and they can definitely help me to achieve what I need as well, whether it's to progress in my career or to get more influence get more influence with their business units or whatever it is. And it is actually working, right? So what I had to do is to actually go through this exercise. Now, PageUp is a pretty small organization, so I didn't need to influence 100 people, but this is just an example. So for me to get access to the SVP of sales, for example, I did need to go through different people before reaching out to him, because I really needed to learn about what is going to impact him the most. And he is a super busy person. I needed to know how can I pitch to him the value in actually having those conversations with me. And now for every time that I meet with him, I have a very specific agenda that is around the value for him, but also the value for me. And now he actually knows that he's one of my sponsors, and that I am influencing or trying to influence him to get what I'm trying to get, which is pretty much, for the whole organization to adopt design and design thinking, and it is actually working. So yes, that is my success story. So when you start to build those relationships with them, just go back to everything that we talked about before. So think about, the stories that you're going to shape, what you can give them, what is the value that you can add to them, and how are you going to build those relationships with those people. All right, sorry. Cool. All right, let's move to the second component. So demonstrating your expertise. So once people get to know you and they like you as a human being, and they say you are the most amazing person in the world, and that's absolutely great, you want them to start seeing you as an expert in your field and your industry and the organization. So as designers, it's absolutely critical that we'll be seen as experts in design, right? So we need to know how to talk about usability and accessibility and research and data analysis and all of that. However, if you want to progress in your career, it is actually essential that we also build reputation as of facilitators, of leaders, problem solvers, etc. So it's not just about the design. And also something that is very exciting for the design community, the design profession is starting to change, right? So designers are not just designing the solution, they're already becoming more the facilitators of problem solving. And it's really important that we'll take advantage of that. And we're going to start to practice that and influence people by practicing that. A really good way to build your expert reputation is by publicizing that. In today's world, there is no value whatsoever in keeping your knowledge under wraps and for yourself, right? So we live in a sharing knowledge world and reality. So people can find basically everything that they want to find, they can find it somewhere. If you can be the person to bring this knowledge, that will be great advantage for you. So share it as often as you can and with as many people as you can. So you can do it internally, which is really important to do that. You can run Hour of Power, Learning Lunch, write a blog. We have in our team what we call UX episodes. So every month, one of our team members is running a topic for an hour for every single person in the organization. I mean, not everyone is coming, but this is the most popular episode that we have in the business. And we talk about different things, whether it's accessibility, design system, research, survey, and whatever it is. And the people get to choose which are the topics that they're interested in. However, beside that, do some things that are externally outside of your job. So you can write a blog, you can run a talk, like I'm doing now, or facilitate a workshop, submit a talk to a conference, do it in a meetup, just do whatever. Find any opportunity that you can to share your knowledge and get support internally and externally. And it is hard work and it does, take a lot of effort, but it's really, really worth it. And it's really a good opportunity also to show some people in your organization that you're doing things outside of the organization, right? Sometime it will actually get them to support you even more. When you see that you do things that are not necessarily related to your immediate job, that is a really good way to show people that your expertise outside of your day job. So you want to become this person that people are reaching out to. So first of all, it's a very nice boost to the ego. And it's an evidence that your reputation is building up. And it means that people are starting to see you as an expert, and your chances of influencing them or influencing through them are growing. I'll give you another example. So about 6 months ago, our head of HR messaged me, and she asked me if I can facilitate a retro to a project team that worked in building our new corporate website. Now, I had no involvement in the project whatsoever, and all the team members that were involved were from different business departments. And also, we have at PageUp an agile delivery manager that is really more that's really more his expertise, right? So retro is not necessarily something the designers do, but for some reason she reached out to me and asked me. So anyway, we booked like a 15 minutes talk just to talk about what she's trying to get out of this retro, so I can organize and facilitate and plan it correctly. And the first thing she said was, I know you're really busy, but I know that you are an expert in those things, and I would really appreciate your help. And I thought to myself, wow, really? Me, expert in Agile? I'm really not, but okay, sure, I'll take it, why not? There are clearly people that are way more, have more expertise in this topic than me. But I did build a reputation in the business of a problem solver and an effective facilitator. So this is why she chose me. And just on a side note, I really don't like to refer myself as a problem solver, because I don't believe that I am a problem solver. I am more a problem identifier and a solution facilitator. And I think this is our job as designers, but that's a different topic. Now, this is a good example of me achieving two things in one go. So one thing, I've done something for her, right? I helped her with something that she couldn't do by herself. And this really improved my relationship with her, because now she knows that I can help her when she needs something. And in return, she will help me, and she did when I needed something. Also, the second thing is that I built my reputation in the business as an expert in things that are not necessarily part of my traditional responsibilities. And because all of those people in the retro were outside of my department, now those people know me as something else, not just, head of design, but also they know that I have other expertise. And if they need something, they know that they can reach out to me. And I can potentially help them with that. So I am the expert in other things beside design. Another really big impact is when people beside yourself introduce you as an expert. So like I said, people talking highly of you, but also if people can introduce you as an expert to people that don't necessarily know you. So for example, if you are going to run a talk, a presentation, whether it's in the organization or in a meetup, in a conference, in whatever it is, or maybe you're going to run a workshop, and maybe you're going to run a workshop for your clients or your users, and maybe those people don't necessarily know who you are. Try to arrange for someone to introduce your expertise and experience to this audience. It's very simple, it's costless, and it really works. People will listen differently to what you have to say if someone else will introduce you as an expert. So try to take advantage of that. It's a really good tip. All right, the third component. So practice courage, failure, and perseverance. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Building relationships and building influencing skills is not a walk in the park. It requires to try new techniques, to build a relationship with people you never spoke to. You need to persuade people to support you in your ideas. You need to step out of your shell. You need to do some public speaking, some schmoozing sometime, and to work hard, right? It takes time and effort, and you're probably going to get it wrong many, many, many times. However, it doesn't mean that you don't have what it takes, and it sure doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it. I think a lot of us are using phrases like, oh, she's a natural, he is so gifted, it's really smooth for them. They can just do whatever they choose to do, and it's super easy. We do believe that some people are born with amazing talent and some are not. And this is just the way it is, and that's it, right? It might set up off the hook to actually trying to do something and trying to work harder, but it also makes us completely doubt ourselves when it mattered the most. And a lot of us, because of that, develop what we like to call the imposter syndrome. However, many, many researchers discover that in fact, achieving greatness is a matter of grit and perseverance. It's not a natural gift. Yes, some of us are born with, maybe different physical abilities, and maybe you know, we can do some things a little bit better than others. However, none of us are born with amazing talent. We all get this, what we call talent, by practicing very hard all the time. I think the problem is that we are so scared of failure that we're just terrified of putting ourselves out there because we might be judged by others, right? But if you look at, you know, this little cutie, and think of toddlers, whether you have kids or not, I'm sure you've seen some, if you have some in your family. They're trying to do things that they can't all the time, right? So they'll try to stand up, they'll try to climb something, and they will fail over and over and over again. But they don't seem embarrassed and by not succeeding, and they're not giving up by falling over, maybe even a million times. But think about that at around the age of kind of 3, 4, things are starting to change, right? So small children are starting to kind of be self-aware and see and understand the reaction from the grown-ups. So we start to frown, we get scared, we tell them they've done something wrong. What we actually do is we teach them that they should feel shame and embarrassment with what they've done, and they should fear trying to do those things. We actually push them to stop being courageous and experience failure. And that's honestly just a bit sad. Our culture today is designed to see failure as a really bad thing instead of an opportunity to learn and rise from it. If we want to achieve great things, we need to learn to embrace the challenge rather than fear it. And we need to unlearn that failure is bad. And yes, you will face obstacles, and yes, people will judge you. But to be honest, our biggest obstacle in our life is actually ourselves. And what I really want you to take from this day is, don't be your own obstacle. Be courageous, and, you know, try things, and you might fail, and that's fine, and just try it again. This is a quote I really, really like by Angela Duckworth, and she wrote the book, Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance. And this is one of my favorite books, and I just read it. It's absolutely awesome. And this quote is, when you keep searching for ways to change your situation for the better, you stand a chance of finding them. When you stop searching, assuming they can't be found, you guarantee they won't. So for the last 10 years, I worked very hard on developing my influencing skills. And honestly, I failed more time than I succeeded. And I'm still failing a lot. I tried different approaches. I worked on endless presentations and pitches, and I spoke to many, many, many people, and I tried to convince them 100 times to get their support and to sell them an idea that they just didn't want to. I wanted to leave the profession a lot time because I still think the design is not being appreciated as it should be. However, I think we are stepping into a really interesting era of design is starting kind of to, we're starting to step up, and design is starting to be a thing, even in Australia, which is great. But every fall that I had gave me an insight that I would never have without failing. So when I fail today, and I do fail a lot and all the time, and every month I have something that I said, oh my God, I've done it, you know, so wrong. I needed to do it differently. I need to do it again, or, you know, I just, you know, to tell myself that, you know, sometimes that you're a failure, you're just, you know, you're horrible, you know, we have the imposter syndrome and all of that. So I do feel sorry for myself. And what I do today is I give myself 1 day of grief, and that's it. And then I rise up and I force myself to start it all over again, because without that, we have basically nothing. Because for me, a true failure is actually not even trying. So I do hope that you will practice that again. And it's really all about, you know, practicing the courage and failure and perseverance. And this is probably the most important thing from this talk today. All right, so I just want to kind of sum it up. So we talked today about the 3 components of influence, and we talked about some tips that you can do to, you can start doing pretty much tomorrow to actually get those key components. So the first thing, building rapport and personal connections. What you can do there is cultivate empathy, add value to people, shape your story, and a really important thing to do to get practical, to create this power map. Second, demonstrate your expertise. Like we said, just building the connections and just building the relationship is not enough. You also need to show that you're an expert. So with those 2 things, you can win everything. However, you will be able to win everything if you actually practice courage, failure, and perseverance, because again, you will fail a lot of times. And again, that's fine. That's part of life. Part of being a human being is to fail and then to rise up and then to try again. Organizations, just kind of to sum it up, organizations are led by people with a lot of different opinions. And it's important that we acknowledge that. Success will come when we identify what we want to achieve and we create a plan for it. So make sure before you start all of that, that you have a very clear goal of what you're actually trying to achieve. Just trying to be an influencer for the sake of being an influencer, I mean, that's fine, but it will be very difficult for you to actually create this plan and progress with that. So think about the one thing that you're trying to achieve. Maybe it's get a promotion, or maybe it's to get more budget, or maybe is to get everyone to practice design, or maybe if you are a team of 1, it's just getting 1 more person to your team. So whatever it is, just make sure that you're very clear on this goal. Make sure that you're practicing all those things, that you identify those people that will help you to get there, and that you are starting to build a relationship with them, and that you are actually able to show your expertise in this area of what you're trying to achieve. And then try it over and over and over and over again, because at some point you will get it right and people will actually listen to you. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. All right, so thank you very much. I'm Lital, and thank you for listening to me. And I really hope that I helped you with, you know, some of those practices, and to get your head around how to actually start and how to kick off your influencing journey.
That was so awesome, Lital. I honestly feel like I've got like a hand cramp right now from writing all these notes. I've got like pages and pages of notes. So I'm definitely going to be re-watching this recording. We will have the recording up on our YouTube channel. So I can see there's a few comments there about where we can access this, because that was so full of incredible information and knowledge, and very inspiring. So thanks so much. That was awesome.
Great, thanks. I'll just stop sharing now.
I'm going to share my screen, and if we've got any questions, make sure that you are popping them in Slido with that 56383, so that I'm pretty sure Anshel is going to be able to hook us up with what our questions are for Lital, as well as who our most influential user is. You may as well start influencing right now and get access to a year's worth of Creative Cloud from Adobe XD. So Anshel, did you have a whole list of people who've been writing questions on our Slido?
Yes, absolutely. I will start by just asking the questions that have been voted the most. The first one is by our very own Berlin, and I actually quite agree with this. This happens with me as well. I'm petite, Asian, and female. Any advice for someone aware of that intersectionality and trying to influence stakeholders with subconscious biases against me?
Yes, look, I'm half Arabic Jewish girl from Israel. So definitely people have a lot of biases to me, and I see it all the time, right? It's very difficult to, I think, to influence. It's not to influence, to get people to stop having those biases, right? I think the best thing we can do is to actually show them that their bias is just incorrect. And I think also, like I said, some people just, whether they see us as, women, or because of our background or whatever it is, they just think very, they think that we can't actually achieve great things. So what I would do is just show them that you actually can. Show them, demonstrate to them that you can be awesome, that you can speak up, that you can be expert in whatever you think that you can be expert in. I as a woman, I had so much, sorry for the word, but BS from men for the last 20 years that that I that I worked in the industry, and even before that. But and that really impacted me when I was a bit younger, and it still obviously impacts me. And it's real. It always annoys the crap out of me when I see people just treating women different than they do to men. But I actually want to share something that we've done at PageUp recently. We started an ERG, which is an employee resource group for women in the business in our product team, because I do see that not just in PageUp, obviously and probably PageUp is actually a pretty good thing. So everyone in PageUp, just know that I think we have an awesome culture. And I don't see things as bad as in other companies, not at all. But I do know that women feel a lot of the time that they have less opportunities, and they don't get the same promotions, or maybe not necessarily the same salaries, and maybe they don't have anyone that they can look up to, sorry. Or they don't have a role model, or whatever it is. And what I've done with, I think maybe Mai is here, she is our HR rep, and she's helping me a lot with that, was actually to create a space for those women to come together and support each other, and also to get them help in kind of upskilling in leadership and how they can move to the next level. Because look, I work in talent management, right? So PageUp is a talent management company, and I read a lot in the area, and I listen to a lot of podcasts and all of that. And one big issue is getting women to IT and to tech companies. So we don't have a lot of women, but I think that sometimes even the bigger problem is, how do we keep them there? How do we actually show them that they can progress in their career in the company? And how can we actually show them that they have something to inspire to? Because, and this is something that I read a lot of women are leaving companies just because they don't have the right role models, and just because they can't see their future there. And I think this is a big thing. So I'm sorry, I kind of moved to kind of slightly a different thing, but I think it's really important to actually, if that's what you want to do, is something we just need to fight for ourselves. So find those people that can help you, because I'm sure that you have those people in the organization, because every organization will have at least a few women, or just people from different backgrounds that feel that they don't have those opportunities, and people are not listening to them as the same as they listen to the man or whoever. So get this support, and what I would tell you is speak up. Just show those people that, you know, you are amazing and you have those expertise and you can do everything just as good, if not better than men. And if you want, Berlin, I can talk about it for like 20 hours and give you some, you know, tips.
That's awesome. Really like that. Definitely gonna use that. And Berlin, you and I can talk about as well about this. um, cool. We have a question from Josephine. It's, what would your recommendation be if you're the only design voice in the room, and not only are the difficult stakeholders difficult, but also refuse to listen?
Yes, you know, we all face it, right? So I think it's really about, it's really hard to influence in a group, right? And this is why I said, if you start with one-on-one relationship, it will be easier for you to step into a room and you have, you know, 5, 6, 7 people, and none of them understand the value of design, and then you need to advocate for design. And I had this experience, and I've been in this situation a million times, right? When you have all those people that are super technical or just in sales or whatever it is, and they just don't understand the value of design. So I think that a really good way to do it is to do it individually. And it will take much longer, but it will be way more impactful. So if you can, you know, see who those people are, understand what their, you know, power is, and who are those key people that you should start influencing, just start like that. And it doesn't have to be the most difficult person, or maybe not even just the easiest person to influence. Just find someone in the middle that you can start having those conversations and just say, hey, can we, you know, can we have like a, I don't know, 30-minute chat? I really want to run something by you. Have this conversation and start talking to them and understand, you know, first of all, what they think about design, what do they think the value of design is, what is important to them. And sometimes people, you know, will only care about the bottom line, for example. So you can show them why design can affect this bottom line, and why design is the ROI of design, basically, right? We talk about it a lot in the design community. It's really about showing, if you're not going through the design process, you can spend millions of dollars, and I've seen it so many times, how, and show them those examples of, you know, you actually haven't listened to us in the past, and this is why you wasted 6 months or whatever it is in something that actually no one is using. So, you know, sometimes talking actually about those failures that the company had is a good thing, right? Give them, like, don't blame anyone, but just say, look, that was an example of something that didn't work really well. Maybe just give me a, you know, a chance to show you, you know, how can we change it, and how can we make something work because of design. And I would say start small, just start really, really small, the smallest thing that you can do, and build on that.
That's amazing. I think the next question is pretty similar, so I'll skip that one. So Anna is asking, how does influencing change when it's all or almost, well, sorry, how does influencing change work when it's all or mostly remote, especially with different cultures and different time zones?
Yes, that's a really good question. I have to say that for me, building relationships remotely is actually easier for me. And I know Berlin has done a talk about it a while ago, and right, you sent a survey a while ago about a talk of like building relationships, and I replied to the survey, and my answer was, yeah, it's easier for me to do it remotely, because now when I go to like you know, a conversation with someone, or reach out to someone, it's mainly because I have a very specific thing that I want to discuss with them. And even if it's just like a one-on-one conversation, and even if it's just to build a relationship with this person, it's still very, very specific. So you can still book one-on-one conversations with those people. And sometimes you will even be less interrupted, just because, you know, if they're at home, maybe they will look at their emails, but they don't have like 10 other people reaching out to them and trying to grab their attention at the same time. So for me, nothing really changed from that. Like, I haven't seen that my you know, the need to influence, or my abilities to influence, change because of the remote work. So I still have those one-on-one conversations, and sometimes I have also kind of group conversations with people if I'm coaching them about influencing, or or some ways to to sell what they need to stakeholders and so on. So I think actually there are some benefits of being remote. But yeah, it's not, building those connections is not necessarily the same, but I think you can still build really good connections, even if it's just remote. Maybe you won't be able to buy them coffee, but you can, use Deliveroo or something and get them.
Interesting. We have one question. I might put them two of them together. So we have, in the early minutes, you mentioned that it's more difficult to influence down people. Would you please elaborate on this? And the other one, which is kind of similar, is spending time on influencing upwards, downwards, and outwards. How do you prioritize this and split your time? It's probably two different questions, but I merged them. But you can choose to answer any of them.
Okay, so let's start with the first one, and then if you can just tell me again what the second one was. So it's not necessarily harder, but it's sometimes it is harder. So I'll give you an example. When I joined PageUp, one of the things that I wanted to do is to run a 2-day, basically design sprint event for 2 days. So, I was new to the business. It was like 2 or 3 months in the business. And I talked about it with our CPO at the time. And we said, yes, great, let's do it. So I needed to pitch it to, the executive team. And he helped me with that, which was great because, he's kind of the first person that I influenced, and then he helped me to influence others. So I pitched it to them. I showed them a presentation. They're all, okay, great, sure, why not? Let's do it. Because they actually saw the value in it, maybe a little bit. But then what I need to do is to actually get the people on the ground, like, the developers, the product managers, and whoever else that didn't really know what design thinking is at all, to get them to join the event. And a lot of them said, I have my day job and I'm really not interested. I'm not a designer, so why should I join? And so sometimes for those people, and people that don't necessarily see the big picture or don't necessarily think about the value for the business, maybe they see the value for their team, but they don't see that, like the big picture of changing processes and doing something else basically, or how do we approach problem solving and things like that. Sometimes it will be way more difficult for you, right? And I'm sure you faced it when you wanted to convince a developer to do something. It's like, no, I don't care, right? And by the way, I'm not saying developers just don't understand design, not at all. Some developers are absolutely amazing at design and design thinking, and they practice that all the time. But sometimes you do have those people that are just really focused on their day job, and they just are not interested. And this is why. And also sometimes when you come as a new manager and people just don't trust you as their manager, it also sometimes very, very difficult to build connections with your team members. But I actually think this is the most important thing. As a manager, you need your team members to support you, first of all. And obviously, you need to support them. Like to me, that's the most important thing. My immediate team is the number one thing for me in the organization. So if any one of them here, so just remember that. And sorry, there's the second, Anshel, the second question.
Yeah, I might actually switch to another one because that was voted more. Is how would you approach a working environment where everyone follows a recipe and you're the only one pushing the boundaries by trying new things to improve?
Yes, it's also a really good question, right? So what I would do is to actually ask them, so I would start with kind of a bit of a exploratory research and understand, oh, okay, so why are you using, this method or this tool, and maybe we can try to do something else. Maybe we can try a different approach, or, maybe I'll facilitate a little workshop. So like I said before, I would start super small. I think sometimes people are following process just because the process is there, and they don't necessarily, see that something else can be more valuable, and they won't challenge it just because it's there, and it's not broken, so why fix it? So I think sometimes our job is to actually show them that it is a little bit broken, and even if it's not broken, we can still fix it, because maybe the new process will be even better. So maybe let's try just very, very, very small. And I did have it with people, I wanted to run, it was a while ago, and I wanted to run like a design workshop with people, and I think it was like about 10 people in the group, and none of them were a designer, and they just did not see the value in it at all. So first of all, I will tell people, if you don't want to come, don't come. It's fine. You don't have to be here. But if you do come, so please be open-minded. Please try new things, and if you won't like it, you don't have to come again. In my experience, most people, when they see the value of workshops, of ideation, of design, collaboration, of whatever it is, they see the value in it, and they absolutely love it. And I think also, and I don't know if that's kind of what we're referring to, but I think that a lot of the time we just don't give people the kind of the respect that they deserve, that if they just understand what it is, they will want to be part of that. They will want to be involved in in ideation, in finding the solution, in designing the solution, and so on. So I think for me, for example, at PageUp, we involve so many people from across the business when we do workshops in again, whatever it is. So we actually have people from all across the business, sales, customer success managers, support, whoever, working on research activities with us, just because we demonstrate the value of actually doing exploratory research, actually going and doing interviews, being the voice of the customer and things like that. So yes, you do have some people that say, I know everything, I don't want to change. They'll be very fixated in what they do, and it is what it is. You can't win all of them, but if you try very, very small, with small, what I would call small experiments, I think you can win some people.
Amazing. Cool. I'm not sure if we have time for one more question. We're just at the end, so maybe we'll just skip forward to the wrap up. What do you guys think?
You want to sneak in one more question?
I'll sneak in one more. Okay,
One more.
awesome. Okay, so I'll ask you the one that I asked earlier. So it's spending time on influencing upwards, downwards, and outwards. How do you prioritize this and split your time between these three different groups?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So like I said before, is this, think about what is your goal, right? So this is why you want to kind of create a plan. So first of all, what are you trying to achieve? What do you want people to support you in, right? Even if you go, let's say you're a new person into the organization. Let's say, when I joined PageUp, it was 2.5 years ago. I came as the new head of design. I had to try and influence everyone, basically, right? So my first priority was to build relationship and trust with my team members. That was first of all. Without having, those people supporting what I want to do, and without me supporting them, it's just not going to work. So I started with that, because to me, that's what makes sense. The second thing I've done was to go and actually explore the design maturity in the organization. But I started, first of all, with product managers and tech leads, because they have the immediate relationship with designers. So, and then really listen to them. So ask them questions about, how do you work with designers? What do you think design is? And how is the relationship with them? And how do you come up with solution? How do you prioritize the work? But also just to get them, right, to tell me, what's working for them, what's not working for them, what their pain points in the organization, and so on. So this is how I prioritize. It was really more kind of, influencing down, I would say, because what I needed to do is to actually embed design in the product teams. So this is why I chose to do that. But then I moved kind of to have, you know, my peers basically. So all the head of tech, the head of product, the CIO, he's actually my manager. So I have, you know, this connection with him. But I would say the reason he hired me is because of, you know, my ability, or the story that I sold to him during the interview, that, you know, this is my approach, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to achieve. But basically what I want to do is to, first of all, understand what is needed in the business, and then I can come up with a plan. So, and right, so I started kind of like, you know, down and then across and then up, because this was my priority basically. But sometime it will be different. So think about the goal that you're trying to achieve, and, you know, get this power map, and I'm happy to share the slides with you, by the way, and think about start with one person, right? Who is the most important person, and important in, you know, just because they have the most influence on the goal that you're trying to achieve. So who is this person, and how can I influence them first? And it can be through other people, or it can be directly with this person. And also when you start to kind of build this, you know, this group of, let's say, supporters, it will be much easier for you then to expand it, because then people will advocate for you, and you can influence others by, you know, through them as well. So it's not just, you don't need to do it with every single person in the business, right? So start with this kind of this core group, and you can expand it through others.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I think we'll move towards just a wrap up. Mon, do you want to take over?
Sure. Well, thanks so much, Lital. They were incredible questions, incredible answers. And yeah, I don't know about anybody else, but my heart feels quite full right now with some of those responses. And yeah, I'm ready to get out there and influence and compliment people, and yeah, like do nice things for people. And yeah, I love the messages. So speaking of doing nice things for people, not that it's particularly nice or not, but I don't know, if you're a freelancer or you're looking for a gig right now, I just have quite a lot of people in my network who've reached out to me, and they would really like some UX help. So if you just have a bit of a side hustle, if you are a freelancer, this particular person is looking for somebody to be able to optimize a landing page. So specifically like content on the website. And I would assume that there might actually be longer term potential for a position as well. So if that interests you, I know this is a bit new for us at Seek to do this, at Seek, sorry, talking about work, at Ladies That UX, to put out calls for freelance opportunities. But if you have freelance opportunities as well, please reach out to us. But if you in particular would like some more information on this freelance opportunity, please reach out to me. That's simonjadekelly@gmail.com. That's the best email to get me on, because otherwise I sort of, all my emails blur into one. So that's the one I concentrate on. Also, don't forget, Dovetail is giving away 60 days for you to check out what it feels like to do some amazing research synth in Dovetail. I use it. We use it at Seek. I'm pretty sure you use it at Xero as well, don't you, Anshel?
No, we don't, but I've
okay.
used it otherwise, and it's been great. So definitely recommend it.
I love that you can color code. So you can have, you know, like I'll go in there and I'll have the research, and I'll put the script in, and then I'll get my note takers to actually write the questions out. And then I can go through, based on my script, I can sort of know where, what I was looking for, and I can start color coding all the themes up. So I love color, as you can see from the slides, and I love color and design, so it really helps me to be able to synthesize and start to really get some amazing results like really quickly, so that I can then turn that back to my team who have been note taking and who are invested and who are interested. And as well, Anshel, are you going to let us know who the winner is?
Yes. So I have the winner for tonight. Should we have some drum roll? Like I can't do it well. It's Josephine for their amazing questions and 2 questions and in some really, really good ones. So yeah, Josephine, we'll reach out with you so you get 1 year of Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, and ladies at UX Melbourne will reach out to you to coordinate that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I want
Awesome.
that prize.
I know, right? Awesome. And that brings us to the end. Thank you everyone for joining us, and really love the questions, love the participation, and good night. Have a lovely evening.
Bon nuit, and we'll see you again. Yeah, keep your eye out on our meetup page for our next meetup. Christmas time is probably going to be some sort of collaboration sort of thingy-majiggies. We're not really sure, but we will definitely keep you posted. Good night.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Lital.